Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm going to pin a comment and we're going to get ready to get started really soon. I invite Mr. King to the live. Come on in. Make sure you all are sharing. And so this is going to be a great interview. Really looking forward to this. Okay, let's invite Mr. King, the 9 to 5 millionaire himself. Jamal, he'll be joining us shortly. Hey, Jamal. I'm going to send another invitation. Uh-oh. I think you got him here on the first try. Hey, Jamal. Oh, my
Do
goodness.
this.
Guests
Please do
always
this.
have a problem getting on. You was on it.
Uh,
Look at
no, right on time,
that.
too. Look at that.
See, I
7
didn't get a
o'clock.
chance to give the
Look at
intro. Let me do it quickly, okay? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Building and Bonding with Cierra, your favorite real estate agent and investor. We have the one, the only Mr. Jemal King, better known as the 9 to 5 millionaire, with us this evening. How are you doing, Jamal?
Oh, man, I'm blessed, man.
Thank
I'm blessed.
you.
Thanks for having me. Properties, so doing
Absolutely.
what I do, you know. I haven't been on live, by the way. This is my first time on live in probably about a year and a
Really?
half, almost 2 years.
See, well,
Seriously, I've
look,
been
I feel
working.
special.
I've been live.
All the guests that's tuning in, y'all should feel real special. Jamal is gracing us with his presence. He's been getting it in real life, in these real estate streets.
real, real life. I said COVID was over.
Yeah.
I was on live a lot during COVID. You know, it was all everybody live. And then once COVID was over with, I went live and I just started just going in,
Absolutely.
you know, in real life. So yep, but no, man, I'm happy to be on here, man. I'm happy to talk, happy to
We
bless the people,
ready.
drop
We
some
ready.
nuggets, man,
Okay, so let's
whatever.
kick
Let's
it on
go.
off, Jamal. Who is Jemal King?
Oh man, I am man. I'm a lot in one. You know, I don't think that one word or like one title can define me. And that's kind of almost
Right.
how you have like the 9 to 5 millionaire, right? If you think about that name within
Mm-hmm.
itself, it is an oxymoron. You know, it's like most 9 to 5ers are not millionaires, and most
Correct.
millionaires don't have 9 to 5s. And we just talk about who am I? Just it's so many titles. I wear so many hats.
Give us a few. Give us a
Man,
few.
I'm a father. Man, I mean, each one of my
Okay.
titles go through my 5 pillars I talk about, right? You know, the 5 pillars: faith,
Okay.
family, finance, fitness, and freedom. Like, that's my day. Like, if you want to know who I am, and I think a lot of times people give themselves titles, but they simplify them titles in their life. And so I say, if you want to know who I am, just look at my 5 pillars. And every
Yes.
single day, that's what I'm a man of faith. You know, I'm a man of faith, and I believe that's the foundation of who Jemal King really is. You know, I'm a man that loves his family, and that, you know, and I protect my family, and my family live an
Yes.
amazing, crazy life. Man, I'm a man that, you know, finance wise, you know, I'm a man that I found the secret to success when it comes to creating income,
Yeah.
right? And that's through real estate. And so, and yet several other businesses. You know, I'm an author. You know, I'm on the #1 podcast, personal development podcast in the world with
Yes.
Secret to Success. Motivational speaker. I'm a business owner. Man, I'm a guy that cares about his health. You know what I'm
Flex on
saying?
them right quick. Flex on them right
Guns,
quick.
right? You know what I'm saying? I care about my health. You know, I work out every single day because I never wanted my family. You know, what good is it for a man to make so much money and to just do all this stuff that I'm doing, and then all of a sudden now I have to burden my family with the task of taking care of me. You know, I once heard a quote, or somebody said one time, that the crazy thing about men is that they work and countless amount of hours sacrificing their health to make money to later on in life use the money to take care of their health. And that really resonated with me when I heard that. And I was like, wow, you think about it. You know, I've worked with people so many years on the police department, and I'm talking people that work 16, 18 hours a day, you know, eating out. You right, yeah, consistent. I'm talking about literally eating, not eating any home cooked meals, eating at Harold's Chicken every single day, eating fast food every single day, not working out, smoking cigarettes, not getting sleep. And yeah, they getting their checks, and they like, man, I worked 80 hours and I worked an extra 80 hours of overtime. And it's just like, man, my check looked real nice, but it's just like, bro, you like literally one cheeseburger away from a heart attack. And so I just never wanted to be that person. I wanted balance in my life. So there you go. That's the word that I would use to describe Jemal.
Yes.
I am a man of balance.
So you mentioned the police department, right? And that was actually a commonality that we had. And one of the reasons I started following you, because my 9 to 5, for those that don't know, I'm a police officer, a police investigator now. But how was your transition from being a police officer to the 9 to 5 millionaire? Can you kind of walk us through that journey?
Yeah, you're saying how was the transition
from the beginning? Like, kind of just walk us through every day as a police officer on the force, CPD, to how did you become that 9 to 5 millionaire?
Yeah, so it's crazy. And that's why, like, for everybody that's on this live listening, don't give yourself titles. Please don't. Because when you give yourself a title, you become the title you give yourself. You literally, you know how many times I've been with police officers, and the second they got that badge, you know, they were, man, I'm officer so-and-so, so-and-so. I'm officer. It's like they couldn't separate themselves from that job title. And that's important where I talk about, you know, that you got to have a vehicle and a destination, right? A lot of people made the police department their destination, right? Think about it. That was the destination, when literally the police department was nothing more than a vehicle. Like, when you go, if you drive, and I don't know what kind of car you got, but like, you know, if you got, let's say you got a Cadillac Escalade like I got, you would not, when you introducing yourself to somebody, you wouldn't say, how you doing? I'm Cadillac Escalade. That's your vehicle. It's nothing more than a vehicle. It's meant to get you from point A to point B. That's what your job is. I never identified, as crazy as it sounds, I never identified as myself as being a police officer. I did it for those 8 hours where I was working. You know, I was a police officer, I was Officer King, but the second I got off the job, it was something that my dad taught me, man. You know, my dad had did 30 years on the police department. And, you know, he always told me, like, son, but when I first started, he said, son, you're going to witness a lot of stuff that most of the people in the world will never witness. And he, a lot of the stuff that you witness and that you see, don't bring it home. Like, your family don't need to be subjected to the stuff that you're going to see. And he was just like, I need you to do me a favor. Like, always get dressed when you get to work. Like, put your uniform on when you get to work, and take your uniform off when you leave work. Don't come home with that uniform on. And he was saying, because when you go home, I want you to become a different person. When you come home, when you walk through the door, I want you to be a father. You know, I want you to be a husband. I want you to have a different identity than walking in that door with that same uniform on that everybody saw you at the last 8 hours. And so I took that identity, I took that, what he said, a little bit further. And the second I got off work, I would, you know, leave my, you know, I would have extra uniforms in my locker. I would leave work and I would put on my real estate uniform, so to speak. And I would go, you know, I had these pants I would put on, these jeans. I had my Timberland boots in the back of the car. I would have on my little Timberland jacket, and I would go to Home Depot, and I would leave work, and I would become this rehabber in real estate, you know. And then when we started doing the daycare centers, I would change into that uniform. I learned how to change into certain uniforms, even to being a speaker. You know, that's why, you know, everybody always see me with the CJ was talking about the tight shirt or whatever. I had a AK logo on the hat, because it's nothing more than another uniform. When we were in the DR, I did a speech, right? I did a speech on action, taking action. And I showed the different action heroes, right? And I was just talking about how every action
Yep.
hero, they had a dual personality. In the beginning, you had what is Spider-Man, man? What's his? Do you remember Spider-Man?
Come on,
What was
y'all.
his
What was
name? Y'all help
Spider-Man's
me out. What was
name?
Spider?
Peter Parker.
Peter Peter Parker. Come on, it's coming back to me. So Peter Parker was like, Peter Parker was, you know, he worked at the debut, I believe, and he was a photographer. But the second he put on that Spider-Man uniform, he was able to just shoot webs up out his arms, his hands. He was able to swing from building to building. You know, you had Clark Kent. He was like a little nerd. He was going to his 9 to 5. He was dressed. He had his little glasses on. He looked like a little nerd. But the second it was danger, he was able to put on that little tight outfit with the cape, and he pressed on his chest, and he was able to go. He became somebody. He became whatever it is he wanted to be. Even my last one is what's my man name? The Hulk, Incredible Hulk, David Banner. Man, how's this stuff coming? David Banner. He was a scientist. You know, he was a little brainiac, a little scientist. But he got mad, you know, and the reaction he had, right? The reaction he had, he would turn into the Incredible Hulk, and he had this amazing strength, and he could do whatever it is that he wanted to do. Last one, but no, let me give you one more, my favorite one. Batman, right? You know, Batman. What's his name? These characters.
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne. Come on. Bruce Wayne, though, he didn't have any special powers, right? He created his own. He literally like was just a multi-millionaire or billionaire. He's gonna create I'm gonna create this alter ego, this other personality, and I'm gonna save people's lives. And when I thought about that, you know, and I talked about in the DR how I grew up that kind of way, right? I grew up with action figures. That's what I love to do. And it resonated in me. Like, you don't have to work a job and just be this one person. How come you can't change and just be whatever it is you want to be? Just think about that mindset. Like, cool, I'm at the police department. Cool, I'm a police officer, yeah. But what else can I be? Like, what else? What else lays dormant?
Endless possibilities.
And you just think about that. Endless possibilities. It's like everybody is capable, Cierra, of having something else. And that's why when I see people, I don't just see them, right? I don't just see the physical. Like, I'm now, like, one of my superpowers, I believe, is that I look beyond the outer portion of you. I look beyond the police uniform. I look beyond, and there's something else inside of you. And that's why, man, I really love what I'm doing right now, because I get to speak to that other person that's inside of you. I get to, like, tap into that other person and find out who's in what action figure is inside of you. And everybody has another person. They have another side in them. They just haven't unlocked it. And that's exactly, I think, that the transition for me was a process of unlocking all of the different action heroes that lay dormant in Jemal. Just think about it. I was the 9 to 5 millionaire, the version, maybe not the version you all know, but I was still the 9 to 5 millionaire 20 years ago while I was driving around the streets of Chicago. I was up, and nobody knew that this person would one day be speaking in front of 22,000 people on the stage. Like, nobody knew. And so, and I say that same thing, like, you know, like, it's something else inside of you. You just have to go find it. And it's crazy as it sounds that, and I don't want to start preaching, you know, I can go there. But crazy as it sounds, God put that other person in a place that you can't lose it. He put it right inside of you. You just have to literally drown out the noise, go to that quiet place, and find out, like, who am I? And I think 2024 right now, this is the last quarter. Everybody listening to this really need to say, man, let me go ahead,
really dig deep and figure out who that other person is inside.
Yep. And for me, the transition took place when I was in the squad car. I was in a hole. You know, I talk about the hole all the time in my book. And I was in a hole, man. I was in a quiet place. And for those that's listening that don't know what the hole is, you know, that's what, you know, us police officers, you know, when it's quiet, you know, when there's nothing going on, we got this you know, police officers usually find a spot that's off to
Absolutely.
the side where people can't
Chilling in
really
the
see you,
cut.
you know, and you might go, yeah, chilling in the cut. We used to say in the hole. And when you're in the hole, you just trying to get, you know, be away. You don't want people, you know, looking at you and all of that, but you might read a book. You might do your paperwork. You know, some officers go to sleep, you know, so whatever. It was in the hole that's when I became that. It was in the hole. I was reading books. I was saying, Cierra, it's
Right.
something else. It's got to be more than this. I had the privilege and I had the disadvantage, I would say, of working with people that was on the job for 20, 30 years while only in my first year on the job. And when I was working with them, I would hear them complain. I would how they were only making probably a couple $1,000s more than me, and they've been on the job 20 plus years more than me. Them tired because they were working 2, 3 jobs. And I was like, wow, they didn't find that other person inside of them. They literally just bought into this. And even when they get off work, they still the police. When they go, still the police. And that's why they struggling. They never found that other vehicle for them. And in the hole was when I really made that transition. And I said, I got to do something different right now while I'm still able to do something, doing something different. And that's when I pretty much, another important thing, once I wrote down, that's when I create the vision for my life, right? This is when the real transition happened. I create the vision for my life. But when I create the vision for my life, I went to find the evidence of the vision for my life.
Good.
You know, and I think that's what's missing with a lot of people. A lot of people, they create visions all day long, but they don't go seek the evidence of the vision. You know, you got to go seek it. You know, I talk about all the time that you have to go visit the vision before the vision visits you. Somebody really think saying, and I know it rhymes, but you really need to think about that. You need to go visit the vision before the vision visits you. Meaning, whatever vision that you got on your vision board this year, go visit it first. Go get evidence that it exists. Like literally, go get the evidence of it. How much does your vision cost? Everybody says, I tell you, look, I got asked to speak at like 3 different vision board parties, and I'm like, look, before we even go there, I want you to write down like what your vision cost. Everything you put on your vision board has got a price tag to it. Let me know what it is, and that's what I did when I was making that transition from the police to real estate. I went and I seek the evidence of becoming a real estate investor. Is it possible? Who else is doing it? How much are they? What type of properties are they investing in? What type of properties are they staying away from? What type of neighborhood should I invest in? Once I went and sought that evidence and I saw that it was possible, then that's when I went full go for myself.
So what did that look like, right? You did your recon work. Where did you start? So for the person that's on here, that maybe they're a newbie investor, or maybe they got a few properties, but they're at the beginning, right? They trying to get their feet wet. Where is the starting point for that person?
Yeah, first off, I don't believe in trying to get your feet wet. What's the point getting in water if you're only gonna get your feet wet? You know what I'm saying? What is getting your feet wet? You know, I once read that you're supposed to plunge, right? Only reason why people go get their feet wet is because they're nervous and they don't know how deep the water is. So you put your little toes in the water to make sure that it's, you're scared, nervous, you're timid. So I would say to that person that's starting out, you don't have to go get your feet wet. What you need to do is go get the information, right? You need to get the right information. And the right information is what allows you to feel comfortable enough to, you know, into the water, into the depth. So that's the number one thing. When I first started out, you know, people always ask me, what type of property should I buy? What I just let them know, like, it all depends on what you want, right? You know, with Make Real Estate Real, I teach all the time, have a purpose for every property you purchase. I don't buy properties to buy properties. I think that's the wrong way of going about real estate investing, is when you just buy properties to buy properties. You literally need to have a property that fulfills a purpose in your life. When I got started, I wanted a building because I wanted to retire my wife. That point blank, that's it. I didn't want a building for nothing else. I wanted a building to retire my wife. I was looking for a $3,000 a month property. That's what I wanted to net, so that I could, she was making $1,500 every 2 weeks back in 2001. I just needed a building to replace that. And so I I sent my marching orders to my real estate broker instantly. I was able to be very clear and concise, right? I didn't tell my broker, oh, just give me something, whatever. And I think that's why people come back, oh, I make $250 on this property. No, I wanted a $3,000 property. I needed a $3,000 net from a property. That property would have brought me back $2,800. All right, cool. I'm a couple $100 away from reaching my goal. But for the most part, I wanted a $3,000 net. And so now you reverse engineer. What kind of property can net me $3,000? At the time, 4-unit buildings, right? 4-unit buildings, I knew that, you know, a lot of times, and even to this day, I still got a 50-50 rule. And a lot of people need to, if you're in real estate, you know, if you got an 8-unit building and the average rent is $1,000, then your gross is $8,000. Then after expenses, after all your costs, you should literally be bringing in $4,000. If I'm bringing in $8,000 gross, I need to net $4,000. I need to net 50%. And no, don't get me wrong, because a lot of people, I've seen people walk away from deals where they were bringing in $8,000 gross and they netted $3,000. They said, well, Jemal said 50-50 rule. It all depends on what your purpose is. And when I started, my purpose was to make $3,000 net so that I could retire my wife, and I aggressively went after exactly what it is that I wanted. And that's why when my first property, I looked at 77 properties before I purchased my first one. It was some properties that would have brought me in $1,000, $800, $700. I told my real estate broker, why are you bringing me these properties? I said I need to net somewhere close to $3,000. And that's why we started looking at 4-unit buildings, because we knew that we could bring in, for the rental amount at the time, we knew that if they had at least 2 to 3 bedrooms and 2 apartments, and the other 2 apartments had at least 2 bedrooms, we knew to bring in somewhere close to 4 to 5,000 gross, and I could be able to net, after paying all the costs, at least $3,000. So that's what I always tell newbie investors. It's like, you got to make it real for you. What's good might not be good for you. It might not be good. You know, you might want to get in real estate because you just want to buy a luxury car and you need $1,500 every month for this car note. You might get in real estate because you got your kids' tuition. And the kids' tuition is, you know, you know, hey, you want to put them in this nice private school and it costs $1,500 every month. All right, real estate broker, I need, what type of property can net me $1,500 every month? And then now you give me your marching orders to your real estate broker, and now they should only be bringing you properties that's going to bring you in what it is.
So Jemal, we got a couple questions in the chat. I'm going to jump in to answer one of those or ask one of those questions. So someone asks, how long did it take you to get the money to put up for the first property while you were working? So financing, right? The funding part of it. Sometimes that's an issue with some newer investors. What did you do about financing?
June, July, August, September, October. I started the police department in February 28th, 2000, and I bought my first property in October same year. So it took me about 9 months of saving up. It wasn't just me. My wife at the time, she was my fiance, and we were saving together, giving me one of her checks. She would keep one check and was giving me a check. The police department, you know, got a uniform allowance, right? You know, because Chicago Police Department, you got to buy your own stuff. They don't give you a gun like the TV shows. You know how you remember, like, you watch TV shows,
that's
and
your
like, give me your gun, give me your. I got to give you your badge, but I got to give you my. And so, the police department was giving a $5,000 uniform allowance at the time. And instead of taking my $5,000 and buying uniforms, I was borrowing stuff from my brother, who was a police officer. My dad was a police officer, and my mother was a police officer. So I was like, I borrowed a vest. My dad had an extra vest. I got his extra vest. So that saved me, you know, $1,000 or so. I was able to get a gun from him. I was able to get, you know, different uniforms. So I was able to take that $5,000 and add it to the money that I was saving a check and my wife was saving a check. And so we were able to put that money together
and you were focused,
save for the first
right?
property.
I believe we all have the money, to be honest. I think it's just depending on what we choose to spend it on. We are a consumer society. Everybody wants bags and shoes and the fancy cars. he pretty much said he saved his money, he stacked, and him and his wife as a team made it happen. I absolutely love that.
But and that's important, and thanks for bringing that up. A lot of people listening, you know, whether you're a woman that's got a male spouse, and whether you're a man got a female spouse, whatever, it's like like I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's so hard, like to get my spouse on board and this and that." Y'all got to start. Like when I told you about visit the vision before the vision visits you, I brought my wife with me. Yeah, I brought her with me. I would go, you know, I would go to neighborhoods, right? We would go to neighborhoods where they had mansions. I'm talking about, you know, people that Muhammad Ali's old house, where President Obama lived at, Farrakhan lives. We would drive. I had a 1993 Chevy Blazer. We would park it at the end of the block because we didn't want nobody to see us getting out of it. And we would like hold hands and we would walk down the street with all these mansions, Sierra. I'm talking about we would just literally be walking, and when we was doing
Yes.
it, we had our chest up. You know, we had on, and we was acting like we belonged here. I promise you, they could have called the police on us because we didn't have no business being in that area. But we literally, our physical bodies didn't have any business being in that
Right.
areas, but our
Yes.
vision was already living there, and we the evidence of it. And I needed her to come with me because I needed her to see why I was working, why I was investing. I needed her to come with me because I'm over here now, and I didn't even have to ask her for a check. I never asked her for her to start investing in one of her checks. She
Right.
saw what we was investing for. She saw what we was working towards. She saw the vision, and it wasn't just seeing the vision from my mouth.
She's like
Because she's
action.
more of a,
Show me the
you know, she want to
action.
see it. You know, I, I can see it
Absolutely.
right here. She need to see it right here. Yeah. But so she was more like, you know, once I showed her, like, man, we only 3 properties away from living like this. Now think about it. Now if I was giving her the other kind of spiel, like, hey, man, all right, I got 5 years on the police department. Once I reach my 5 years, then I can take a promotional test and I could become a sergeant. And then when I become sergeant, they can give me a $10,000 raise. And then I got to work as a sergeant 2 years. And then if I pass the promotional test, I could be a lieutenant. Now, when I'm a lieutenant, then we're going to make an X amount of dollars. Then we can probably get a house similar to this. Not in this neighborhood, but similar to this. And that vision there, man,
Don't buy into that.
she wouldn't invest in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buy in or give me no money. She'd be like, it's too many ifs. Too many people got to like you. Too many things got to happen. But when I was able to make the vision super clear, I'm talking about not just make it clear, but show her the type of people that live in these houses and show her that,
absolutely,
man, these people ain't no different than us.
Absolutely.
Ain't no different than us. Look at, and I mean, we didn't just look at the vision and walk past their houses. We was like waving at them, like, hey, how you doing?
You neighbors at this point.
Acting like, oh, we was. Listen, before the word cap came out, we was big cap. We was walking. I'm talking about we just walking. And, hey, how you doing, buddy? We ice cream, and we was just like, man,
Absolutely.
one day we're gonna be here. One day we had marching orders. Well, we was going in, and I didn't have to. Man, I ain't never have to explain. I'm out here renovating properties, coming in the house at whatever time. I'm out here, you know, taking money and investing in their properties. I never had to explain myself to my wife. Why? Because the explanation was already made in the beginning.
So Jemal, let's talk about some challenges that you've had to overcome, right? Because it's not an L, it's a lesson, right? But you're gonna take a couple L's or learn some lessons when you're dealing with real estate. So can you think of a time where you had to overcome an obstacle and what that looked like?
Yeah, one major obstacle, thank God it happened early on. You know, I was trying to, you know, I didn't have much money in the beginning, so I was always trying to do everything cheap, right? And one of the things that I did cheap, I was trying to get the cheapest insurance policy on the property. And I was renovating this 6-unit building, and this was only my second property. I had a lot of success on the first property, and here it is, I'm renovating the second property, and I had a rehab loan on it. Actually, no, I refinanced my first property, and so I had my own money. And I went and bought all the material. I'm talking about we needed like $60,000-$70,000 worth of material, and I bought all that material and I put it in the doggone building. I was feeling good. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never had money like that. And so to have money and then just buy all your material, and I'm at Home Depot and I got like 15
Throw it
carts
in
of
the
stuff,
bag.
and I got everybody looking at me, and I'm saying, oh, I'm talking about, I'm just like, man. And now I think about it, somebody probably robbed my building. They probably followed me because I had all this material. But literally, we put that material in that building, and the next day,
oh my
it was
God,
all gone, 100% gone. And I'm like, yo, what am I going to do? I didn't have any extra money. I already refinanced. I was tapped out. I was only making $3,600, $36,000 a year, $1,200 every 2 weeks. Yeah. And I was trying to, this 6-unit building, I had that building because it was going to take care of our house, right? The first property retired my wife. The second property was, we was like literally staying in my parents' basement. We just got married. We staying in my parents' basement, and we supposed to be moving into a house. But here it is, I done made my wife this promise that we're going to move into one of these nice houses. And now the property that's going to pay for this house, I couldn't finish the renovation
how
work
long
to
was it in between house property number 1 and property number 2, timeline wise?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Now, what
exactly.
did you do after? Like, what did you learn from that? Right, you put all the material in. Somebody came in, robbed you, cleaned you out. What did you learn from that, and what did you do differently moving forward?
Yeah, so one thing, I made an insurance claim on it, right? And the insurance company was like, yeah, you chose the cheaper policy. And they fine print. And literally, I chose a policy that was probably about, man, it hurts to even say it, like $60 cheaper a month. $60 cheaper a month. And because of that, I chose the policy that did not cover theft. It only covered like fire damage. It didn't cover theft. And I had my partner, man, my guy. He was at the DR. Anytime I hold an event, anytime I do anything, I still bring this guy out. When I was on stage one time in front of 4,000 people for 120, I brought him on stage, and this was my partner on the job, and I called him an old timer, but it's crazy. He was only about 35, 36 years old, but I was 22 years old, so I thought he was an old timer. But now I look back, like, man, he was a young man. Now I'm 46, very young. But he literally looked at me and was like, he saw me just stressing, and he's every day come to work. I'm positive. I'm got books reading. And he saw me stressing, and he's like, little bro, what's going on? And I was like, man, bro, they got me, man. And bro, took all the material. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't move forward. I got these contractors now that I got, and then he was just like, man. He was like, man, everything gonna be good. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it. The next day we was in the squad car, and my man gave me an envelope, and I was like, yeah, seriously, he gave me an envelope, and I was like, what's this? And I opened the envelope up, $10,000 cash.
Your partner, he believed in you.
I'm talking the cheapest. I'm talking about, he's so cheap. Like, even penny
that's
pinching,
major.
And
Because you got to think, you was new in the game. You a rookie officer, and you a rookie in real estate.
I was a rookie with everything. And I was talking big.
Wow.
And, just he believed in me. And that's exactly what he told me. He told me, he said, you the man, look, he told me these words word for word. He said, bro, I need you to keep going. And then he said, no, we need you to keep going. He told me this back in 2001. He looked at me and he said, bro, you're going to be the one that's going to get away. You're going to be the one that's going to make it. And he said, and I need you to reach back for the rest of us. I promise you, word for word, handed me that $10,000. Ever since then, I promise you, I done fixed and flipped at least about 15 properties with him that made him, I can't even tell you how much. Each property that we done flipped made over $100,000. Every time we go on a vacation or trip, every time we do anything, I bring him with me, expenses paid, him and his wife.
Right?
And
it helped propel you to who you are today and keep going.
It was a difference maker, man, just to have somebody believe in you. Just And it was crazy because he didn't even, you know what I'm saying? He believed in me. Like, it's crazy. Now I get everybody believing in me. I get all kind of people like, oh man, I got 500,000, man. I'd love for you to invest in me.
Right.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit different now. But he
Absolutely.
me before I was me. He saw that action, saw the action hero in me. He saw, and that's why it's important, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm getting all emotional. It's important that you speak
Absolutely.
those things that are not as though
Power
they
in the
are.
tongue.
You
You better say
as an
it.
action hero. Yeah, as an action hero already. Like, people are watching you. This man was, I never asked him for $1. He was watching me read every single night. While everybody else was hanging out, Dunkin' Donuts, and they watching, DVD movies, and he saw a discipline about me. He saw me. He was like, man, you a man with a plan. Like, he told me, he said,
And
I ain't never seen
focus.
somebody so young,
So
just
what
so
are some
focused and so
of
determined.
those other things,
Yeah.
Mal? You talked about reading, right? What are some other habits that you think have helped you on your real estate endeavors?
Yeah, one of my habits is every single day I made it my business at 4 a.m. So I worked midnights my whole career. And from 12 o'clock, from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m., I would just hump. I would get out the box. I would make stops. I would make arrests. Whatever it is that the sergeant needed me to do, I would come box. And then when that clock hit 4 a.m., I would take a lunch break at 5. 5 o'clock, I would go work out every day. 5 a.m. Every day I would work out. Every day. Because when I create this vision for myself, I looked like myself. I looked like how I was, right? 222 pounds. When I first got fitted for my police uniform, the tailor, he asked me what size did I need. And I told him I need a 36-inch waist for pants, and I need a large jacket. He gave me a 40 pants. He gave me the 40 waist inseam of my pants. And he gave me like a double XL for the jacket. And he's like, we're just going to take it in right now. And then when you reach about 10, 15 years, then we're going to take a little bit of the string out. And I was like, I didn't understand it. I said, what you talking about, man? I said, I'm a 36. He said, no, you're going to pick up weight. He said, y'all all do. And literally, my man had a scale in that doggone place. He had a scale. And I got on that scale and I said, look, as today, I'm 22 years old and I weigh 222 pounds. I said, I promise you that every single day I'm going to get on the scale. And if that scale goes up 3 pounds, I'm going to lose 3 pounds. I said, I am going to be the same weight, the same size, because the vision I got for me and my family, I was like this. I don't want to sacrifice my health so that I can create money and create this life. And so that's one big thing that I did. And then after I got done with lunch at 5 a.m., I would go look at properties. I made it my business. Every single day I looked. When I was working as a police officer, every single night that I worked, it has not been one night that I didn't look at least 10 properties. There's so many properties every single day, Cierra. They would call me the abandoned building cop. Like, I would literally, and eventually they gave me that task where I would just go around and have to write down addresses of abandoned properties that wasn't secure in the community, because that's all I did. I would go into properties. I would go in my flashlight. I would get listings the night before. I would get the codes in the area that I worked, right? So I would still be considered patrolling in my area, but I would go inside properties. I would look when the radio was quiet. There was nothing going on. I would go in properties. I would look at properties. So I already had a head start before everybody went to work. Then by the time they got home from work, then most people was looking at properties just on the weekend. They wouldn't even look at on a weekday because they had to work. I would go to the properties throughout the whole week. So I would almost look at, I would say within a year's time, I would probably look at 1,000 properties. If you just think about it, I would have went inside of about 1,000 properties in a year's time. That's how many properties that I was going to just every single night that I was working. And I think that habit now, it created an endurance inside of me. Like, I don't get, even when I bought this 63 property portfolio, right? Most people, they gave us they gave us 48 hours to view the properties. You got to go view and make an assessment on 63 properties. I mean, literally, most people can't do that. You're a real estate broker. Most people will have a hard time doing one property, making an assessment, having a contractor come out, and you doing in 24 hours or 48 hours, 3 properties. Me and April went to do 63 properties in 48 hours. And did it all because we developed an endurance for it. You know, we developed an endurance, and most people get tired. Most people wouldn't even have got to the front door because they tired. They're like, man, I'm
Absolutely.
5 properties. I'm tired.
Another question from the chat: what's the cost of upkeep and maintenance in a multi-unit building on average?
Yeah, so the way how I do it, and upkeep and maintenance is it depends on so much, right? So we just take 10% of the gross rents. So I'm bringing in, let's just say for that 4-unit building, $4,000. You know, then I'm doing $400, right? So 10% goes towards an escrow account, and my real estate broker, my property manager, we have lawn care people. So it depends. Some properties only have grass, and so every property is different. And so, but for me, we just literally put 10% of the gross rents in an escrow account. And then we use that account every single month when the rents come in. We use that account for any kind of upkeep, any kind of maintenance. Most of the time, though, nothing really goes wrong every single month. So that escrow account grows and grows. There's been times we hit escrow accounts, you might have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in that account at the end of the year. And then we just take that money, maybe 40 or 50,000 of that money, and put it towards the down payment of another property, and then just leave in that account $10,000. So every property is different, but most of the time the going rate, most of your property managers, they're charging you from 10 to 12%, right? And then also keep 10% in the escrow account.
Quick question from the chat. What neighborhood should I invest in 2024? I'm assuming they're in Chicago. I know we got people from all over the world on this chat. Kia, where are you from?
Yeah.
We in Chicago.
They're from Chicago. Oh, let's go. All right, you ready? Get your pen. I'm about to give you some breaking news right here. What's up, son?
Hi, Dad.
Hey, I'm about to give you some breaking news right here. You want to invest in South Shore. Trust what I'm saying. More specifically, I ain't gonna give the exact address, but from 70
to 70.
I ain't trying to price myself out. But all right, let's say from 79th to 65th.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of South Shore, right? You have a new project coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that for those who may not know?
Yes. So we have a skyscraper that we are in the process of building or developing. This building, man, is going to be, it's going to be a staple, man, in South Shore. Let's say, I'm not going to give you the exact address, but say that it's a half away from
you froze a little bit. There you go. Jemal, you still there? Yeah, you just froze a little bit.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I see you. I hear you. You're not as clear.
I'm good. Man, that's crazy. My signal looking great.
Okay.
My son might have can't hear what he's talking about.
Your son got superpowers. Yeah. But we'll keep going. We can hear you a little bit, but you definitely froze. Okay. You should be good.
I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Good? All right, good. Yeah, so the skyscraper, I don't know what you heard, but I was just saying that it's a 187 unit property, right? It's going to be luxury apartments. It's going to have commercial space. It's going to have a rooftop restaurant, rooftop bar. You're going to be able to walk out a rooftop deck. It overlooks the lake. is within a mile and a half of President Obama's presidential library, and is in walking
Wow.
distance to Tiger Woods golf course. I would say so, but yeah, it's phenomenal, man. And my business partners, man, they're phenomenal. It's five of us that's on it, and yeah, it's been a work in progress, and we're right at the finish line now, and we're looking to put the shovels in the ground the
Nice.
second the weather breaks in the
I'm
springtime.
so proud of you, Jemal. That's major. You
Yeah,
went from
no,
being a police
yeah, no,
officer to the 9-to-5 millionaire building skyscrapers. That is amazing. And it's a Black man. So I'm just extremely proud of you. Mentorship, right?
right.
Mentorship is really important. And you are a mentor and you inspire a lot of people. But I'm curious, who holds you accountable? Do you have any mentors who you look up to or learn some valuable lessons from?
Yeah. So, I talk about, how I always say your level of
Yes.
exposure determines your level of success. And so I go after exposure
Okay.
way different than other people, right? I don't think I ever in my life asked somebody for money, right? Other than probably my parents, and that might have stopped at the age of
Okay.
16 when I put myself through college. But I go after exposure. So when you say like mentors, I got different people that I would say give me a
Okay.
level of exposure on a high level, right? Even when it comes to speaking, of course, I would have to look at my big brother, E.T., who's the number one motivational speaker in the world, and the exposure that I get from him, and me and E don't sit up and we go over
Right.
speeches and he's like, hey, Ma, you want to hit him with
Mm-hmm.
this, and then you want to do, we don't do that. I don't have to. When you're getting exposed on a high level, it unconsciously and
Yes.
consciously, the yoke falls off on you. And that's why I be telling you it's so important to get in the room, right? CJ trains the top speakers in the world. That's my
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with him all the time. I, CJ, he'll critique me. He'll say, "Ma, he helped me formulate my keynotes and things like that." But our conversation about speaking
Right.
might only be 1% when we together. You know, so it's just being exposed to different people. It unconsciously. ET never did real estate other than the house he owned. He ended up being exposed to me, and he never really even asked me about the
Right.
breakdown of real estate, like make real estate real. But he's connected with me. He done been over my house. This is my penthouse
Beautiful.
suite right here. No, it ain't. This is the penthouse. This is the penthouse. The penthouse suite. Look. And it might be dirty, man. My kids, man. I'm telling you,
Ooh.
these kids, man.
Epoxy
And
on
so
the
this is
floors. Look
penthouse,
good.
and he was talking to. Look, I'm about to give y'all some. I'm about to give y'all some breaking news right on here,
Exclusive. That
right on
look
your show.
good.
Look at this. Exclusive. Shh.
What? What?
We're going to the penthouse suite.
Okay. I see what's going on.
Going
Wow.
to the penthouse. This is the hidden room, but this is see my kids, man. Look, they playing on the doggone suite. But this is an example of like telling me that he started doing real estate, taking real estate serious once he was
Wow.
exposed to what it is that I do. And I started taking speaking serious once I was exposed to what he does. And that's so though, so that's so
Got
mentorship,
you.
no.
Got you.
Exposure, yes. I get exposed. Even my friend, one of my business partners, he's done over Johnny, he's done over 90 or so skyscrapers. And so because Johnny has done over 90 skyscrapers, now that puts me automatically to the front of the line of
Absolutely.
developing a skyscraper. I've been exposed. I've been exposed. Johnny never mentored me. He never sat back and said, hey, Jemal, this is the game plan. Literally, I'm just connected
Right.
with him. So therefore, I become. And I think a lot of people need to, that's why coaching is so important. That's why a lot of times, joining communities, joining different programs, it's important because it's like You know, it's not about being coached. It's
Absolutely.
really about being exposed to new possibilities. It's about being exposed. I've created
Yes, you have.
millionaires and make real estate real. Just, I mean, and that's not
Yes,
even
you have.
blinking. I'm so right. I'm serious. And it's like it's straight from exposure. It's literally exposure. And that's why it's so important for you to get in the room. Get in the room, get connected with people doing things on a high level. You know, so that's you know, one day, man, I'm gonna go live and I'm gonna just go on a tour of my house
Listen, I want
and
to
just
be
show you. I just
exposed at
expose
the
you
next birthday
on.
party, okay? Make sure my invitation is in the mail.
Yeah, my
Tell
birthday.
Camille I'll bring over a dish.
My birthday is always out the country. I haven't been home on my birthday in probably 15, probably longer than that, maybe
Oh,
17 years. I
wow.
haven't been home. This year we're going to Egypt. We're going on a cruise. It's a 5-day cruise on the Nile River, and then
See,
we're going to
that's
spend
really
about
good
another 5 days
balance right
in
there.
Egypt.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
So let's talk about legacy.
Yep. Oh, somebody said, enjoyed hearing your testimony with John Hannah. Absolutely, man. Pastor Hannah, it's so crazy. It's funny even saying John Hannah because I call him Pastor Hannah. It's my pastor. I've been a member of that church now for 17, almost 18 years. And that testimony was about my son. It was not even just about my son. It was just about just life, period, about having faith, man. And, you know, if people listening to your live and they don't hear about real estate, you know, real estate is so much. This is
Right.
not about real. What we do is not just real estate. Like, this is a faith walk. It's a faith journey. You know, even when you're renovating a place. So this house, like this floor that we're on right now, wasn't even here. It never existed. I had to see it first. I had to have faith. I had to believe that it was possible before I could build this floor. And that's, I think, a lot of people, like, we get in the business and we get into real estate, we get into these things, and we miss out on the main ingredient in everything that we do, and that's that faith, man. So faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the substance. So whatever it is you're hoping for, faith is the substance of that thing. You know, it's the evidence of things not seen. So when you not seeing what it is that you have in faith for, you don't need to see it with the physical eye. Faith is the evidence that it exists. Your faith is the evidence. And I think we out here looking for evidence. When we out here, looking, and literally your faith is all the evidence that you need to bring that thing about.
Okay. Gotta have faith for sure. Let's talk about legacy and impact, right? If you were to say there's one thing, what type of thumbprint do you want to leave on this next generation of investors or just people in general? Jemal King, when you're no longer here, what does that legacy look like? What thumbprint do you want to leave?
I wanted to read that all things are possible. I want to be a symbol of all things are possible to the one who believes. One of my favorite scriptures, and I want to literally be an example of that. I want to exemplify that. At the end of my life, I want it where they literally are saying that this man exemplifies faith to the utmost. I don't want it to be about money. It's just so much. It's not about money. I want it to be people say Jemal spoke things and then they happen. I'm talking about. I want generations that people that will never meet me, like my kids, my great grandkids, I want them to see my works and literally have faith just off of hearing the story of me. I want them to be able to walk with a sense of all things are possible because they really are. And I think at the end of the day, I want that to be, I don't want to be known as Jemal, the real estate guru. You know, I don't want to be known as Jemal, the multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever come on as Jemal, the man of faith, the man of crazy faith. The man, like, literally, I want people saying, what kind of man was this? Like, literally, he literally walked, like, he walked by faith and not by sight. And that's what I want my life to be. I want the next generation to adopt. And I want them to know that they can adopt this and exemplify this in their own life early on. Imagine like when you were a kid, Cierra, when you was a kid, like you thought your father could do anything,
Yeah,
right? You know, I heard you mention about your dad. Like you thought he could do anything. Like you didn't think that there was
absolutely.
nothing that your father couldn't do. Yeah. If it was 100 guys coming at
Mm-hmm.
you, you thought your dad would have been able to whoop them all. If you said, Daddy, I want a pony and I want one
Make
with
that
wings, you would have thought
happen.
that your dad could go buy that pony. You thought your dad could do anything. You thought he was the strongest man in the world. You thought so much about him, right? You had this crazy belief that your
Absolutely.
dad would do it. I think that the older we get, we
Mm.
lose that childlike mentality. Right? Lose that mentality
Yeah.
that our daddy can do anything. And when we think about it, our Father, our
Yes, he
Heavenly
can.
Father, really can do anything. And Father, myself, my son is still in that phase. My son think I could do anything. I mean, like I'm talking about he think I could do anything. He told me the other day I could do 100 push-ups, and I was like, yo, like, ooh, like, oh, it hips these back. But because he told me that he think I could do 100 push-ups, I
You
didn't
did
want to disappoint him.
100.
And so guess what I did?
Wow.
I did it. In a way, imagine if we had that childlike faith. Imagine if
Yeah,
we had every time we pray, we literally was like, God,
absolutely.
you could do anything. I, you could do anything. I know you can do it. I know you can bless me with a son. I know you can do it. I know
Yes.
you can bless me with this development. I know you can do it. I already know, Daddy, you got it covered. I already know. There's no doubt in my mind. Guess what? God is scrambling right now. Like, man, Jemal really believed that he really believed that I'm gonna bless him with a son. Like he really believes it. Jemal believes it so much he went and bought clothes and put it in
Wow.
the closet before his wife was even pregnant. Jemal believes it so much that he put a urinal on the wall. He took the toilet out the bathroom and put a urinal on the wall. Man, Jemal believes that I could do anything. So therefore, you know what? He believed in me so much that
Absolutely.
I can't make him a liar. I got
So faith,
that's the type of
going
faith I
back to what
got.
we was talking about at the
That's
beginning, those superheroes, faith will be your superpower.
absolutely. Faith would definitely be my superpower. And that faith allows me to walk different. See, most people go into investments
Yeah.
looking for what can go wrong. They look for everything that can go wrong. And they do that not only in investments, but they do that in their life. They literally look and see what can go wrong in their life.
Yeah.
I walk in
That's
expectancy in
different.
everything that I
That's
do.
different for sure.
Every, yeah, when I work out different people. I work out knowing that my body is gonna be
Yeah.
healed. My body is gonna be cut. My body is gonna be right. When I was trying to conceive a son, I wasn't tiptoeing. I wasn't what you said, getting my feet wet. I wasn't getting my feet wet. I plunged into the promise of God. It said, ask, give, seek, and you shall find.
Yes.
Knock, and the door shall be open. I that's a plunge. It said plunge. You're not supposed to be getting your feet wet, tiptoeing. And so I think a lot of people tiptoe, right? They tiptoe, and that's what something biblical also. When people tiptoe,
Yeah.
you're tiptoeing because you're sneaking. You're sneaking around, and the reason why you're sneaking is because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want anybody to hear you. And the reason why you don't want anybody to hear you is because you don't
Mm.
fully believe that it's going
It's
to
a
take
little gap.
place. And so
Yeah.
that's why you tiptoeing. Because just in case you fail, just in
Right.
case it don't happen, well, nobody really heard, nobody really knew. So I'm not gonna really tell
Got
people. So that's getting your
gotcha.
feet wet. You just tiptoeing. But when you got faith, when you really believe that the thing that you've been praying for, the thing you've been hoping for, when you really believe that it's gonna transpire for you, you plunge. You plunge, you go head first. You plunge. Why? Because that's your
For
faith.
sure.
It's already done. And that's the same thing that you're doing in real estate. You getting into this investment already tiptoeing because you don't think it's going to work.
And
So you
then
going
guess
in with
what?
the
It won't
mentality that it's
work.
not going to work. It won't work. But when you go in and you have done your research, you have educated yourself, you part of the right system, you plunge into it. And that's exactly what I did. I plunged and I'm still plunging to this day. I never built a skyscraper before,
Absolutely.
but my faith tells me that I can. My faith tells me I can. So therefore, I didn't tiptoe and say, "Well, I'm gonna build
Right.
I don't know, a 5-story place first." Because
Mm-hmm.
hey, so I'm gonna build. No, that's tiptoeing. I'm going full go. 17 stories. I tried to do 25 stories,
Wow.
but the city cut us back. You know, you got to
I
plunge,
love it.
man.
I
That's the
love
word for
it.
today. Plunge.
So as we
I
wrap
love
up
it.
this evening, for those that want to stay connected to you or maybe even learn more about your real estate courses, can you give us a little bit information about that?
Yeah. So, of course, you know, you can catch me at 9 to 5 Millionaire. On IG, you can go to 9 to 5 Millionaire on Facebook, JemalKing.com. You can also go to Make Real Estate Real. All right, Make Real Estate Real. And then we also have a One Property Away Summit. Matter of fact, this Sunday we have a master class that I'm gonna put on for an hour at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time this Sunday. So you can go into my link and
Nice.
find out how to register for that. It's free. It don't cost a dime. I'm tired of people, you know, tiptoeing around in the real estate market right now. And so I just want to give like 3 little important key points in real estate. And then we do have a One Property Away Summit. You can go on my link and register for that. That's in December. I'm not sure the exact date, but it's like in the first or second week in December.
Okay, so you said One Property
OnePropertyAwaySummit.com.
Away, 7 p.m. on Sunday, right? For those that want to tap in.
The master 7 p.m.
Absolutely. Well,
on
thank you
Sunday.
so
Yep.
much, Jemal, for joining us. I appreciate your time. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and for all your questions. Keep them coming. We're going to get as many answered as we can. But as we wrap up with building and bonding, again, I just appreciate you. I appreciate the man that you are, the family man, and not just a real estate investor, not just a real estate guru, but a man of faith. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a good evening.
I'm gonna have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you having me on, and you keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep wearing your new
Got
outfit.
it.
Keep wearing your new costume. You know, put that police uniform up in the closet until it's time to come. You
Absolutely.
know, until it's time to put that on. You know, you got so much more inside of you, and your faith, your level of faith is gonna bring it out. So just keep walking in faith. You know, keep walking in expectancy. Keep walking in faith. And I guarantee you that everything that you go through is going to bring out
Absolutely.
who God called
Thank
you to
you,
be.
Jemal. All right, you all have
All
a
right.
good evening. See you later, Jemal. All right, bye.
All right. Take it
Bye.
easy.